Hey, it's Alex here from OnStage Colorado with a bonus edition of the OSC podcast. Co-host ToniTresca and I are going to switch things up from our usual weekly podcast. We'll do that one with guest hosts, interviews, top 10 Colorado headliners, and all that every other week. In between, we'll be serving up some, shall we say, alternative fare. This week, since we were both at opening night for the Denver Center Theater Company's production of Little Shop of Horrors, we did a joint review of the show. Spoiler alert, we both loved it. Enjoy. All right, so we're here to talk about Little Shop of Horrors at the Denver Center Theater Company. Had its opening night on Friday the 18th. It had some previews, the week leading up to that, and it looked to me like they were pretty ready to go. What'd you think, Tony?
I think it's safe to say that this is a killer production about a killer plant from outer space. I really enjoy Little Shop of Horrors. This is one of my favorite musicals of all time. It's got a book and lyric by Howard Ashman and music by Alan Menken. It was originally staged off Broadway back in 1982, and it's based on a film from the 60s by Roger Corman that was produced under the title The Passionate People Eater. So it's certainly got a long legacy, and it was certainly very well known by the crowd at the Denver Center last night.
It was, yeah. So Roger Corman was known for things like, he did a lot of B movies like that, right?
Roger Corman is known for producing films on a budget. He was a journeyman director who would deliver exactly what the studio was looking for. And Little Shop of Horrors was originally produced as allegedly as a bet to see if you could produce a film in 2 days. And they ended up filming the entire thing in 2 days. And as a result, it's very cheap looking. It's all on very small sets. It's very quick, but it's got a certain charm to it that Howard Ashman, when he saw the film when he was 14, he fell in love with and ended up incubating that story into the musical that it's now popularly known as today.
Okay. Yeah, he's got some great titles like Attack of the Crab Monsters, 1957. He did 8 films in 1957, and even more in 58. He did She Gods of Shark Reef, A Bucket of Blood, The Wasp Women, Ski Troop Attack, Little Shop of Horrors, that was 1960. Pit and the Pendulum, so he did some little bit of more mainstream stuff, and he just died last year. He was with us not too long ago. It's such a strange idea for a musical, but it works. And I got to tell you, it was like the production was really so close to flawless. It was like a flawless floral production. And it is also one of my favorite musicals, and I love it just because it's so fun. It's so weird. The music is great. I mean, it's got a lot of really memorable songs, which, like, as you know, we've remarked on a number of shows that we've seen, especially more recent musicals, especially things that were adapted from other things. The songs are just utterly forgettable. And this one's got so many.
Yeah, and it's clear we're not the only ones who love these songs. Like, from the second that the prologue, A Little Shop of Horrors, main title, began and Chiffon, Crystal, and Ronette came onto the stage, the audience kind of erupted. It was clear that they recognized these numbers. It's interesting that Little Shop of Horrors is at a place in its history where it's no longer kind of this more edgy, underground, experimental musical. It's, I think, probably in large part because of the very popular film adaptation of it. It's got a wider knowledge in the cultural zeitgeist and was very clearly recognized by folks. I saw people dancing along throughout in their seats, and 2 people down in front even singing along.
I noticed that one woman. It really is. It's really definitely part of the mainstream, but it's still it's a fun show, and it's got some really still edgy elements like the sadistic dentist huffing nitrous oxide. It's just, but yeah. So the plot is basically this little shitty florist shop in Skid Row in any town USA or any city USA, I guess. Seymour is this shopkeeper's assistant in Mushnick's flower shop, and he there's a total eclipse of the sun, and this weird planet appears, and it happens to be that it's from another planet, and it's out to conquer Earth, and he's just looking at it as a way to get some attention to the flower shop, which is dying, and so Mushnik is the other character, as well as the shop girl, who is Audrey, and all really great performances. David Studwell, who's been in Denver, he actually played Scrooge at DCPA's production of A Christmas Carol. I don't know how was that recently. I don't know. You don't have to answer that right now. And then sure. Audrey was Giselle Jimenez, and Seymour was Ben Fankhauser. All great, but the chiffons. So this was Jaden Dominique, Alexis Morton, and Holly Jackson. When they came out, like you were saying, there was just a real kind of a frisson of excitement that went through the crowd. It was like, here it is. This beloved property, and they were so great. Each one of them individually, and they're not just backup singers. They're part of the, they become part of the cast. They get integrated into the plot, and it's a really great. It's a great thing to have when you're singing these other songs, and you've got those three just powerful voices backing up the other singers.
Totally, and they also are given the best choreography in the show by choreographer Ricky Tripp. Those three women who are played by that's Jaden Dominique, Alexis Morton, and Holly Jackson. They're stars. They're truly electric every single time that they are on the stage. They're super funny. They have so many costume changes. Yeah. They come out in everything from aliens from outer space to these really gorgeous red sparkly dresses near the end of the show, and their energy is just top notch. They nail the kind of comedy beats that are required of them, as well as the more serious moments when they're present during the ballads, such as Suddenly Seymour, and their supporting vocals and energy really helps invigorate that already strong number.
Right. Yeah. So Samantha C. Jones was the costume designer. Absolutely fantastic. And I think she lavished all of her attention on the chiffons. The other costumes are great too, but they had the most fun with them, especially the total eclipse of the sun when they appeared at the top of the shop and they were wearing these sort of outer space costumes.
Great costumes with the urchins, as well as Oren, who was played by Will Branner, who he had there particularly in the second act, because in addition to playing the sadistic dentist Oren, who is dating Audrey, and they have a very abusive relationship, he also plays all of the auxiliary characters, everything from radio announcers to the Snip from the floral agency to the editor's wife, and there's several sequences in which he does these rapid costume changes back to back that are really impressive. And Will Branner, he's known from Broadway, as well as he's appeared in the viral Team Star Kid videos. He is really hilarious. I thought he did incredible work, particularly as the dentist. I was very sad to see him go. I mean, he's an awful character in person, so I don't necessarily mind that he's not around, but you do miss his energy. That character is so funny.
Oh my God. He was just in his element. He was loving playing that character so much. And he is, as you said, because you interviewed him, he is a very fit, athletic guy. And he used those muscles to do some really interesting moves on stage. Like one where he was on his knees and moving around very quickly, just using his hands and not moving his legs. And I was like, oh my God, that's not easy. I've never seen that before.
That's right. Wasn't that during Dentist?
He was going between the chiffons.
Which was super funny. The women had toothbrushes as microphones that they were using. And he was just, if there was a part of the stage that it was possible for him to touch, he was touching it. He was everywhere. It felt like he was everywhere. He clearly was very inspired by Jim Carrey and Steve Martin, who played the dentist in the film version, but he also makes it his own. It's not a copy of the film in any way.
Yeah, absolutely. So he was a lot of fun to watch. And overall, there's a lot of real physicality in this show. I would say also this show just Chris Coleman, who's the artistic director at the Denver Center, directed this, and it just seemed like it had so much love poured into it. Like you could tell he just went all out. I mean, they did everything to make this show just like, pop.
Totally agree. And it's funny, I also interviewed Chris about it for my piece in Denver Westward, and he was talking about the research he did. He revisited the film, which he actually doesn't like very much. He thinks it's cheesy, and he didn't see what Howard Ashman saw. But he said he's been falling more and more in love with this musical the more he's worked on it. He'd never actually directed it before. He produced it back when he was in Oregon, and the artistic director over there, and he was the leader over there. I'm not sure exactly what his role was, but he produced it there. Now he's directing it for the first time, and like you said, it's clear that he's paid attention to every detail. This is a really intimate show. It started in a 99-seat theater off Broadway. The Wolf Theater is 610 seats, so that is a lot bigger. And I think one of the most impressive things that Chris does is he's able to maintain the intimacy in conjunction with work done by Alan E. Merkoa, who is the scenic designer, in which the floral shop itself is actually on a wagon system that allows it to come forward when it's in the scenes in the floral shop. And so you're really close. You feel like you actually are inside of it. And then it pulls away so that they can do other scenes and still have the front of the wolf for scenes outside the flower shop or in the dentist office, for example.
Yeah, it was a very clever set design. It was just two walls that basically, came out and converged in a point downstage, and really, and then a couple of stairs that gave the entrances and exits some extra dimension. And the set in general was, it was great. It was nice and dingy, with some like kind of muted colors and things like that you would expect in Skid Row.
And it was also very clearly set under the subway track system because there were tracks that were above the flower shop. And that also gave it a little bit more dimensionality as well, because the urchins, the women, were able to kind of pop up at the top of the set pieces as well, just under those tracks. And that's where they did, for instance, the number... the doo-wop number that they do when Seymour's describing how he found the plant originally.
Yeah. So, man, all those elements came together really nicely. It's such a fun show. I mean, as a boomer Gen X kind of age person, there was definitely some references in there that might have gone over maybe your head, but some of them, like she references Levittown as being this ideal of suburban, glory. So I actually grew up next to Levittown on Long Island. So it was like the original, like every house is the same suburb built by this guy Levitt. And the fact that she, but that song where she talks about somewhere that's green is so powerful. It's just somebody in this really awful place who's just dreaming about just the most basic, better life, not like living in a mansion. She just wants to live in a little home that's got a washer and dryer. And man, she really brought that one home, Giselle, performing that one.
And I really think that element that you just spoke to, the kind of seriousness that these moments and these characters are treated with, is what makes this version of Little Shop work so well. Chris is treating all these characters with a lot of respect, and sure, there's a lot of comedy elements that happen around it, particularly as the plant gets bigger and bigger and more alien and things get more absurd and more violent. But the characters themselves are very grounded and they feel very real. They're not hamming it up and winking to the audience like, "Oh, I'm a flower assistant. I'm doing comedy bits and I'm falling everywhere." No, Ben Franhurst is very grounded as Seymour. He brings a lot of respect to this character who's clearly just trying to rise up, and he does make some pretty awful decisions throughout, but you're able to kind of see where he's coming from. And same with Giselle Gizeme, who I think also she steals the show, particularly in those Somewhere That's Green, as well as Suddenly Seymour in the second act, when her vulnerability and heart that she demonstrates in those numbers. I think just endears you to her and her that
Oh,
performance.
suddenly Seymour was devastating. It was just brought the house down. Such a great music piece. And also, I was going to also mention about Giselle and some of the other characters, but I guess she and Oren as the dentist, they had a lot of really interesting physical movements. I mean, she walked like almost like a geisha or someone who was wearing a pencil skirt in teeny little mincing steps, and she had a lot of really weird little exclamations and punctuations that really added so much layer to the character, and you could see her pain. I don't want to read too much into it, but I mean, like you were saying, it was really layered. It wasn't just like I'm doing comedy, and she was really great. And what a voice, fantastic.
It's clear that this Audrey is a woman who is trapped in a situation that she can't seem to find her way out of, and she is using people pleasing as a way to kind of cope. She's trying to just make everything okay for everybody around her because she's not okay.
Yeah. Yep. So, overall, fantastic production. So much fun. We're not done talking about it yet.
We've got to talk about the plant.
Oh, yes. Oh, I wanted to mention Audrey, too. So this was voiced or sung by Aaron Michael Ray, who was absolutely fantastic. The puppeteer inside, when it gets bigger, is Joe Galena. And man, that plant was big. I don't think I'd ever seen one on stage that was quite that big. Did they rent this or did they build it? Do you know?
I don't actually know that information, but I would imagine that it seems like they built it themselves because that mechanism that they do, I don't want to spoil it, but they do some really interesting stuff, particularly with the largest version of the plant in Act 2. So don't sneak out at intermission, folks. You haven't seen, you want to see the second plant, the big plant in the second act.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, he had not only a great singing voice, but he also was very funny. And he even at one point, like, imitated Audrey in a really funny way. But yeah, I mean, unbelievable performance there by Aaron Michael Ray as the plant. And what else? There was the only thing that and this is not the production, this is the play at the end. I mean, the ending is a little weird. I don't want to do any spoilers, but they wind up at the end with these sort of plant headpieces on, and I don't know, it doesn't resolve as crisply as so we were talking about how in the film on the way home, Andy and I were talking about how that was they changed it up so they don't get
that's right,
it ends more happily.
That's correct. So when the film, in translating it to the film, they did test screenings. They had actually shot the original ending, and the plant, it consumes New York in this wild kind of animated sequence that is it is available. You can look it up online, and there are versions of the film that you can buy with this alternate ending included because they shot it all and edited it all and filmed it and showed it to audiences. But audiences were so disappointed when the characters didn't get together and there was no resolution, because unlike Broadway plays, Seymour and Audrey don't get to come out at the end and take a bow. You don't get to have that moment of catharsis with the actors. In the film, they just die, and then the credits roll, and that's that is a bummer ending. And so Alan Menken ended up capitulating to the producers and allowed them to rework the ending for the film. I personally prefer the musical ending. I think that it drives home the kind of larger message of don't feed the plants. Whatever they're going to offer you, it's not going to be worth it, particularly if they're asking you to commit violent acts of murder against your fellow man.
Well, it's basically a Faustian tale, right?
That's right.
Will you do this for money, fame, and the girl? And yes, he went down that road, and it did not end well for him. But it certainly ended well for audiences at the Denver Center. So Little Shop of Horrors plays all the way through May 25th. So you got more than a month to go check it out, and definitely highly recommended from us two big fans of this particular musical.
Absolutely. This was a masterfully produced production of a musical that's got a lot of heart, even if it's a very small cast.
Yep. Yeah, everybody wants a small cast musical with a small band, right?
That's right. That's the key to success in theater nowadays. As I'm learning from the Freakonomics podcast about theater that they're doing.
Yeah.